Hi, and welcome to our Friday feature member spotlight, where I get the privilege of chatting with one of our incredible NICU Parent Network members. Today, I am joined by the founder of Connected Forever, Tracy Pella. Tracy has been a longtime NPN member. She's served on numerous committees and has been a board member of ours. Tracy, I'm so excited to be able to have a chance to talk to you. Tracy is based in Nebraska, and she has actually had three babies in the NICU, her micro preemie twins. She has one survivor and one of her daughters as well. Tracy, it's just so wonderful to spend some time with you today.
Thank you, Keira. I'm so excited to be here with you. Such an honor.
Oh, well, let me just start right off the bat about your personal experience. Your twin boys was that your first pregnancy?
Yep.
Okay, so how did having that experience, and if you would just share with some folks, what that was, because you do have one survivor. Tell us a little bit about that personal experience you have.
Yeah. So in 2011, Jesse and I, my husband, we were ecstatic to find out we were pregnant with twins, and really just from the very beginning started to build our dreams. We also have a family farm, so from the very beginning of finding out we were having twins to then quickly finding out they were identical boys, we just began to dream of what our family would look like. And I went in for a routine appointment at 23 weeks and 4 days, and actually without Jesse there with me, and
Mm.
ended up delivering immediately.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, our doctor told us that one of the boys had a low heartbeat, and that if they both wanted, or if we wanted them both to have a chance to live, that we had to deliver immediately. So within a few minutes, I was in the delivery room having an emergency C-section, and giving birth to 23 and 4 day twins.
Was Jesse able to make it there?
He actually
Or
was
did-
not. He wasn't there for the birth. I knew immediately when I went into the doctor's appointment, the ultrasound tech, I could tell by the look on her face something was wrong. And
Right.
so I said, our doctor's office was an hour away from home in the farm. And so I said, should I call my husband? And she said, I think you should. And so it was fairly quickly. When I woke up after the C-section, he was there. And so, I had no idea that this, obviously I just went to a doctor's appointment thinking I was then going to go
Right.
to work for the rest of the day. And when I woke up, they took me to the NICU, and we found out that they were unable to stabilize our son, Cohen. And
So sorry.
thank you. And then after that, we went to the next room over, and our son, Cooper, was literally fighting for every breath. And you could just tell by the aura and the energy in the NICU. I had never seen so many doctors, nurses, staff in one
Right.
place.
Right.
And to be honest, at that point, we were in a state of shock.
Yeah.
And so yeah. And from there, then we began the journey of grieving Cohen, while Cooper, he weighed 14.8 ounces. Had a less than 1% chance of living, and spent 134 days in the NICU. So,
Wow. Yeah, I remember when you and I actually first met several years ago, it was in a loss in multiples group. That's how we initially connected. And so how did you go from, surviving the NICU stay, grieving the loss of your son, to wanting to do something for other families?
whew. It was a few years, and through actually when our experience happened with the boys, I was a licensed mental health therapist, and just barely or almost to the finish of graduate school to be a school psychologist. And so from the mental health part of it, and in that community part of it, I actually that was the part that I wanted to dive into. Like I needed a community actually.
Right.
Like that's how I found you, Keira, and we became
Right.
friends, was because I was searching high and low. And that was Facebook groups, because
Right.
23 weekers, having one twin survive and one pass away, like that just was sort of not a typical experience.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely.
and so I just craved that community and needing to feel like I wasn't alone. And
Mm,
our friends and family, they were amazing. We come from a
sure.
town of 400 people, and I think the whole entire town showed up to support us in one way or another,
Right.
through our experience. But it was just feeling, because anytime I talked to a NICU or lost mom, nothing had to be said. It was just that like that immediate connection that they felt, we had that commonality, in connection. So it was actually a couple years later. I had started, because when Cooper first came home, he was on oxygen and medications and all the things. And it was actually a few years into our journey. And I actually had connected with you, about, Zoe Rose and starting that, and realized there was just something that hit me, that there was more support needed in Nebraska. Um, Especially as babies younger and younger, gestationally, were surviving, and NICUs were just getting more, babies. And so
Right.
I just looked at Jesse one day and I said, I think we need to start a nonprofit. So and then fast forward a couple months from that, actually one of our dear friends, we got a call that their son was being transported to the exact same NICU we were, actually across the hall.
Oh,
And their son, unfortunately, also passed away. And it was through that experience, that really catapulted starting Connected Forever, because, yes, our experience, but seeing from the outside our friends' experience and not having the resources to give them
mm,
was
that's really
really hard.
powerful to
Yeah.
think about it that way, that you felt helpless in helping your friend, even though you had had that experience yourself. So I want to get a little bit personal, even more personal. And thinking back to, you talked about you and Jesse really, planning for this life that you thought was going to be with these, healthy, happy full-term twin boys, to where you are now. So it's been several years. How old is Cooper now?
He'll be 12 on June 1st.
Okay. So you've done a lot of change and growth and transformation as a person, as a mother, as a wife, as a leader. Can you talk to us a little bit about that? Like, when you're in uh, the thick of the experience and being able to reflect on that journey over time.
Whew, that's a powerful
I know
question.
it's a big question. It is a big question. I know. I
Yeah.
know.
I when I look back at our life, and especially our experience with the boys, it's almost like before the boys and after the boys.
Right.
We've always had a heart to help people. And that was just sort of in our DNA and nature. But I I think it allowed us to look at the world differently,
Mhm.
in an unfortunate or fortunate way, whichever
Yeah,
you choose to look. And I think
sure.
we really just took that as a fortunate way. Um,
Mhm.
and one of the experiences that really stands out to me is, when Cooper was still in the NICU. I had just gotten discharged from the hospital. So this was, probably 5 or 6 days after the boys were born. And we were sitting in a fast food restaurant, because I refused to leave town because I was so scared. And
Mhm.
I remember the world around me was just spinning.
Yeah.
And it was like it was only us. And really, watching cars go through the drive through, watching people walk by. And it was like we were in this world that no one knew we were experiencing. Our son had just passed away a few days before. Our other son we really had no idea what his future, if he was even going to survive.
Right.
And it was that moment when I look back at our journey that I realized there are so many people in this world going through something that we have no idea.
Right.
And if we can just take our experience and let other people know that there is hope for them, and that there is community for them, and that, um, the days are dark.
Yeah.
There were a lot of dark days.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
But now seeing that on the other side, I think we've just taken that opportunity, to realize really life is short. And I think it, there's days that, we wish that that experience didn't necessarily have to happen for us
Right.
to take that look on life. But I think
Mhm.
that's really where it's transformed us.
Yeah.
But also knowing, we were just in a position in life kind of lined up in the way that
Mhm.
obviously this was part of our calling in life, to be able to I share sometimes at our events, like, we started the book of Connected Forever, like,
Right.
but we're not the ones to continue to write it. It's the family
Mhm.
that we help every day that
Mhm.
get to write,
Mm. I
um,
love that.
you know
Mhm.
their chapters in our book. So, and I think
Right.
for me as a growing leader, in the way that we've sort of transformed, was just a continuing, like, to just improve it, in ourselves, and also
Mhm.
our, Connected Forever in general. So
Yeah. I love that you're the ones that started the book, but you're not the ones that are gonna continue to write it, and I think about that a lot, and, um, I think it's a beautiful illustration about kind of what NICU parents need, what bereaved parents need. They don't need a hero, right? They don't need somebody to come in and save them, but they need somebody to guide them so that they can write their next chapter. And I think you guys have just done such a beautiful job with that. So let me ask you another kind of big question, because leadership is hard. Growing an organization from scratch is hard. You have a family farm. You went on to have two more babies, one that was 34 weeks, is that right?
yep.
And then a full-term little girl as well. You also have a small business, and you have this organization. So what drives you to keep doing that, all of that work?
Whew. I think it's the families. It's the
Mhm.
families that we serve. And as I was kind of reflecting on and getting to chat with you today, Kira, actually 6 years ago to today, I was in on bed rest, having our youngest,
That
our 34-weeker.
mm,
And as I was thinking about that today, like, wow, that's full circle. And we had
absolutely.
actually started Connected Forever. Connected Forever had been around 3 years when we were
Mhm.
having that experience, and it still felt a little lonely. It still felt,
Yeah.
like, even the fact of, like, this is an organization that we started with resources, and we are now going through this experience again.
Mm,
And so that actually, in that moment, catapulted even more, like, man, like, for us to re-experience that experience.
mhm.
But I think it's just the families, that we serve, that, when we get to connect with a mom, a dad, a grandmother, anyone that's supporting that family, to say, like, I feel at home here. I feel
Yeah.
like I needed this. I need this support. And just having that connection, I think,
Mhm.
it just continues. And then, even as we do a lot of, like, education and support
Mhm.
to, the support staff in the hospitals or
Mhm.
homes that, support families along their journey, and to be able to bring that parent voice, I
Mhm.
as you've taught me so so elegantly, Kira, that is so important, because
Mhm.
our story matters, and I think it
Yes.
matters more than at the beginning what I realized. And
Mhm.
so that just continues to drive me, like, every
Yeah.
time I meet a new family, every time a family gets added, to our community, and to realize it unfortunately, those experiences are happening on a daily basis. So,
Absolutely. That is one thing that is unfortunate, is that, this need is never going to go away. We hope that the need lessens for sure, but it's a fact. We're never going to, completely eliminate preterm birth, infant loss, full term birth with medical complications. It's just not going to go away. So, the need for organizations like Connected Forever and, hospital programs and post NICU programs it's just so great. So let's talk specifically about that now. How exactly does Connected Forever support families?
Yeah, so our mission is really to support families through education, resources, and emotional support. And we do that in a variety of ways. Really, the main goal of ours is to provide a community. We
Mhm,
really find that families, again, that's what they're looking for,
mhm,
is that community to belong to. So we provide support on social media. We have private Facebook groups for both sides of our support. So we have the NICU support, and then we also have the bereavement support. They very
mhm.
much mirror each other,
Yeah.
but we have the online support. We do in person mentorship, um, and then we also have events throughout the year. For families to come together. We have mom specific events. We have events with families. We have couple events. So we have a variety of events that families can come to, um,
Mhm,
to sort of meet kind of all of their needs.
mm,
And that one-on-one mentorship, we provide that in the hospital support as well, continuing to sort of get back into that's not a main program of ours,
mhm.
in sort of post COVID, kind of coming back
Yeah,
from that to have
sure.
more mentors in the hospitals that way.
Mhm,
So the last few years, a lot of our support has been either in the community or through social media, phone, that avenue of
mhm,
support. And then we do that education for staff.
mhm,
Again, bringing that sort of parent voice to
mhm,
that, and providing support in Nebraska in really every avenue that we can um,
mhm.
for that. So.
That's great. So, how can families find you? And do you help families only in Nebraska, or if someone reaches out from another state or anywhere else, are you able to support them as well?
So our policies say that a family that lives in Nebraska or is in a Nebraska hospital. So,
Okay.
and so besides that, we just were able to connect actually through NPN, connect with a lot of other of our kind of sister organizations that provide
Mhm,
support to that particular area as well.
mhm.
Um, and so, yeah, what was,
So would they find oh, yeah, the first part of my question.
oh
So
yeah.
do they find you, once they're in the hospital, or do they find you, just by a Google search, Facebook, your website? How do most families come to you?
Most families come by word of mouth.
Mhm,
So what we find is a lot of families in the hospital, or when they're working with the funeral home, or whatever their experience, that families hear about us and know about us, but we often
mhm.
find it's actually usually after that, after they've left the hospital or a little bit down on their bereavement journey. Um,
Right.
and a lot of times that is social media, or it's
Mhm.
an event. But a lot of times we find families are referred to us by word of mouth.
Yeah,
So,
great. And you've got the website.
yep.
Can you tell everybody what the website is?
Yes, it's connected for with the number four ever.org. So,
And you're on all social media channels?
yes, mainly Facebook is our main social media at this
Okay, great.
point.
Well, we're about at that time to wrap up. So is there any final thoughts, anything you want to share, or anything you'd like to say to a NICU or bereaved family?
I think the biggest thing is just to know that you're not alone. I think,
Mhm,
there is a community of support. If the experience isn't exactly the same, having a similar journey and experience, and to really know there's no time frame on your journey. I mean, years down the road now for myself, there's still days of grief, there's still days of
mhm,
trauma, and
right.
those things. And so I think just knowing that, because we recently had a family reach out, and it had been years since their
Mhm,
experience, but that's when they
mhm.
were ready to find that support. So
Right.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
And just to share, I think never
Yeah.
feel afraid if you're not the one experiencing it. Don't be afraid to share the resources available to families. That honestly can be the best gift for families,
Yeah.
to know
Yeah.
that there is resource and support for them.
Mhm.
So.
That is a great comment to make, because I know a lot of family members or friends can really feel very helpless when they don't know how to help or what to do. So just, finding that resource to connect them to. And if you're in Nebraska, then Connected Forever is the one to connect with. Well, Tracy, it was so good to see you and spend a few moments with you today. And thank you so much for all the work that you continue to do.
you. Well, thank you for the time and letting me share about our mission and what we love to do. So
Absolutely. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we'll be back again.